And one of the biggest economic trends that's rolling through, the Western world right now that's impacting all of us, including dentists, is the fact that we have this outsourcing of labor to very cheap parts of the globe now. So the middle classes in these areas, yes, they're rising. The price of the goods that we get back from those places is incredibly inexpensive. We get the benefits from that, but yet that starts to impact our middle classes, and they aren't growing as much. Economically, that trickles all the way across the country, and you have that impacting every profession. So while we could used to be a little bit lazy and just count on the average consumer, the average patient, the average customer to be capable of buying our services, their buying power continues to shrink while our service fees continue to go up. So we're really caught in this sort of trap. If you're relying on that kind of middle of the market to support you, you've got big problems. And so that trend is rolling through. And again, it's unfortunate. Our political parties really can't fix that kind of thing. It is bigger than they are. It is a global phenomenon, and it's certainly nothing that our professional associations can fix. So we can't clamor to them for that answer. We have to say, okay, understand that's our reality and deal with it. The doctors who stay successful regardless of the economy, and again, having just passed through, I think, what everyone's calling the Great Recession, we saw practices that either stayed even, which was phenomenal, or actually grew year on year throughout the recession. And if you look at the commonalities of all of these dentists, well, yes, they were all highly trained clinicians. They knew that it wasn't just the training they needed to grow their business. They knew that they constantly had to be working on the promotion. They were constantly paying attention to the promotion. They were spending time each week working on the practice, much like Sir Richard Branson. Most of these folks, 25% of the work week is devoted to addressing growth in the practice, and not sort of letting their hands off the steering wheel, so to speak. And in addition, then, a never-ending search for something that's new and better. You still find these people, even though they've been with us for years, and they've learned pretty much everything that we can teach, although we're always bringing something new to the table, something new and exclusive. As soon as I discover it, those guys get it. But the fact is that they know that by being around people that are bringing the new stuff, that helps them keep ahead. So those really are the fundamentals of what you see in these people who are really highly successful, regardless of how bad the economy was or how good it is. The average dentist, say has 3-4 staff members, and they're in a practice of several, 1,300, 1,400 square feet with 3 or 4 operatories, that kind of thing. And traditionally, they just would have their insurance patients come through. And the reimbursement would be pretty reasonable. They wouldn't write off too much, meaning that they have to write off too much of the fee with the insurance, and the overhead was acceptable, and they could still make a fairly good living and support their family and put kids in school and all of those kinds of things. So that's kind of like the average. If you said, what did the average used to look like, that's what it looked like. And we've really gotten to the point now where the buying power of the insurance isn't much. So that insurance, what used to buy an incredible amount of dentistry 20, 30 years ago, now buys just a fraction, 10, 20% of what it bought then. So suddenly we've got very little reimbursement for what your services are. You're writing off immense amount of fees. In the meantime, the cost of doing business, CODB as our accountants would call it, has continued to climb. And that's the nature of the world. Business will always get more costly to do. I mean, unless we have, World War IV or something that wipes us out. Business will always be more costly to do in the future. That's a fundamental law of business. And therefore, they're trapped in this cycle where they're making less money from the insurance, their overhead's rising, and they're sort of caught in between the two. So they're working faster and faster and faster in order to try to raise their level of income, and it's not working so well anymore. And unfortunately, we're in a situation where if dental insurance, as it has been bought by employers, if that had been continued to rise as the level of all other employee benefits, we wouldn't be in this situation. Employees would have $5,000, $6,000 a year in dental benefits, and that would be immense. There would be plenty of benefit there to really take care of a lot of these problems. But as it goes, the battle between what employers will pay and won't pay with their employees, dental insurance really got pushed to the side. Other things became more important. When they survey their employees, dental isn't always that high on the list. The more important things people do want their medical insurance, those kinds of things. Therefore, the investment on the business side never came along for the ride. So that's one reason we're sort of stuck in this situation. And again, it's not something that we can force businesses to change. That's part of their their model. It's not something our associations can go out and try to put the screws to people saying you got to increase your dental benefits. It's not going to work. And we've seen that same trend from the government side of things too. The government, there's only so much the taxes can buy, and dentistry is not a priority for the government, unfortunately. And so we're finding a dividing line in the profession. This is really what's happening. You're getting an average, the average dentist is sort of getting stuck in this path they can't really escape. They have a hard time escaping. There are ways they can get out of that, which is to learn how to sell, learn how to have better case acceptance and sell better to the patients they have, and to gradually use the extra income they get to market for new patients and then move on from there. So there is a path out of that. It's a very difficult one though. But you have another path where dentists with these skills who still have a fair amount of cash flow in the practice because they haven't been caught in the trap with the insurance too badly yet, they have much more negotiating power to quickly make sure they never get caught on this other path. And those are the tools that we're really providing. They either let people sort of get, if they really were willing to work hard and to address the issues in their practice, they can sneak off of the path. And those who are already kind of heading off of it, we can give them the tools to quickly, get the car moving fast so that they get away from that potential being stuck with ever decreasing incomes, ever increasing workloads. So we give them the tools to get away from that. So that's really one of the other things that we're really about, is saying, okay, if you're not going to go down this path of being stuck in that insurance game, we're going to give you the tools to move away from it, or just, if you're already out of it, to just get completely away from it. This is kind of the irony in the profession. You can spend an immense amount of money taking clinical courses, and that's fine. I mean, all of us have. I spent, when I was going through my implant training with Carl Misch, which, by the way, it was an incredible course. Very fortunate to have studied, with the premier implant dentist on planet Earth. By the time it was all said and done, I probably spent $65,000, $70,000 going through those courses. Now, the reality is, though, Carl made no guarantee that I would do any dentistry based on the course. He just would guarantee that you knew how to do the procedures. So that's what you're really getting when you're going to any kind of course. No one's guaranteeing that you're going to take that home and use it. And here you are risking all this money, $4,000 or $5,000 per course, usually for a serious course. And yet, for that exact same value or investment, we're going to guarantee you that you'll do the procedures you already have. So when you go to a clinical course, it's 100% risk. You are at 100% risk of not using any of it. But when you take one of our programs, there's no risk.
Awesome.